Don't you know that? Now we're broadcasting. It finally works.
I hate Jews. I mean...
I look at history a lot.
Pleasure to work with you, Captain Wallace.
Yeah.
This is a mock battle between Army and Navy.
Yeah.
History suggests that weaker states tend to become communist. States without culture, without values, tend to become communist in times of hardship.
Right.
And this is far from a certain thing. Okay? I do want to say that. This is far from a certain thing.
It's just the common trend.
Exactly.
It's not guaranteed, but...
States that are more militaristic and patriotic, that have a certain rallying force behind them.
I've got this.
When they begin to face hardship,
My turn.
they typically tend to trend towards fascism.
I'll try my best.
Going back to the Roman Empire, that's exactly what the Roman Empire did. When the Romans faced adversity, they elected a single man,
All right, that covers the briefing.
Julius
Squad E,
Caesar,
prepare to engage.
to see to their survival and their prosperity.
Fight like it's the real thing. Squad E, move out.
And this is what Germany did under the Nazis.
It's time for a joint training session between the Centurion's crew and the soldiers of the
I'm
Guard
saying
convoy.
that I do believe
Practice or not, this
that
will be
if
your
the
first
United
deployment on the
States
Crystal Sea.
begins to face that
Came all this
kind
way to do
of
training?
adversity,
We wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for the scrub Marines.
I think that we will trend towards fascism instead of communism.
You're the one who started it, you dumbass doughboy! Oh, okay. You want a round two, huh?
And this is just
Wait,
maybe...
Quit
can you
squabbling
say
and
that
get in
again? I
position.
kind of...
I think that
for a sec.
I think that if the United States, the empire that we are, I think that if the United States ever faced serious adversity, I think that we would trend towards fascism instead of communism. I'm almost sure.
Right.
Why are you ordering me around?
And-
You're the newbie around here.
I'm absolutely not saying that this is a certain thing, but this is what happened in Rome. I mean, we are very parallel to Rome, you know, in many, many ways. We have this pride in our nation.
How long are you going to keep
We
running
have this.
your mouth?
We have military
Concentrate,
forces
buffoons.
all over the world, and we love our military. And the Romans were no different. I mean, it seems so distant now, Rome. But let's pretend for a moment that
Okay, let's
you
get
and me are a couple of Roman centurions, right? Back in the days of the Roman Empire, okay?
Alright.
We're a couple of Roman centurions. Each one of us has 100 Roman
blizzard's gonna roll in
soldiers
soon.
under our
Let's
command,
finish this up
and
before
we're
the storm
buddies
gets here.
because we're in the same company, under the same columnal, you know? And let's say you and I go out in the woods, and we find a site where some pagans have slit the throats of infant children and spilled their bloods on some altar.
Right.
How would you feel if you saw something like that?
Disgusted?
Disgusted. Exactly. The Romans were no different from you and me, man. I mean, the technology was not as far along then as it is now, but
Yeah.
human decency still existed. So if you and I were a couple of Roman captains, you know, out on a march in the woods, and we come upon this site where there were a bunch of dead babies who had their throats cut and their blood spilled all over this altar, we'd be fucking disgusted, you know?
Yeah.
So we're not that different from the Romans. And one of the charges of the Roman Empire in the territories that they controlled was to curb that kind of brutality, even then, you know? I mean, I don't want to speak for...
Extent anyway.
Right.
Still have, like, gladiator theater stuff, and still toss people into animal pits, lions.
Yeah, bread and circuses. Yeah, we could come to that. Yeah, certainly the Romans had their fair share of disgusting behavior. But I mean, you could argue...
In a way, though, I feel like we make up for that with our entertainment industry. Movies
Okay,
and whatnot.
moving out.
Exactly. I mean, we have our own disgusting attributes, you know. But at the same time,
that by making it fake.
But at the same time, we still have those feelings, and we still have certain values, you know.
Right.
And even the Roman centurions had certain values, you know. And they would be appalled, as you and I would. They would be appalled if they came out into the woods somewhere and saw something horrific like that.
Yeah.
Right there!
Well,
You're getting to a point, right?
yeah.
Okay.
The United States of America has a huge degree of pride in our military and in the symbolism of our flag and the work that we do policing the world, you know.
I mean, another parallel would be that Rome, at the height of its empire, was the center of the modern world.
Exactly.
And say the same of the United States.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly the point that I'm making. Is that essentially we're really, the technology is more improved. You know, we've got jet fighters. You know, we've got Navy SEALs. But at our core, we really aren't any different. We have our values, we have our respect for human life that even the Romans had.
Don't stop now.
And we place a heavy weight on these things. And I think that is a good thing, honestly. This might sound a little silly, but in Dante's Inferno, in Dante's Divine Comedy, I should say, one of the sectors of heaven was the sector of Jupiter. And Jupiter was the realm of the saints who were just. And a lot of kings and generals were there who, in their time on Earth, sought to bring law and order to Earth to end atrocity.
Shots fired! Find some cover!
And Dante's Inferno, of course, is fiction, but I mean, at the same time, I find it to be insightful fiction, you know.
Target eliminated. Keep up the good work. You're being...
Nations like that, nations that that uphold a standard of morals and values. Like, don't kill babies, even, for example, like Rome.
Right.
They tend to trend more towards fascism when things start going badly, as opposed to communism.
Take care not to slip on the fresh fallen snow. You're being targeted.
It's entirely possible, I guess, is what I'm saying, that within our lifetime, our country could go that way.
Fascists.
Yes, I believe our country could go that way.
The
And
enemy has begun their counterattack.
in a weird way, I have to be honest with you. From what I know of you and me, I don't think we have to worry about that.
The enemy
Personally.
has begun their counterattack.
Ah.
Personally, we don't have to worry about that. Because the United States has different values from Nazi Germany, for example.
Yeah.
Like, race is not an important issue in the United States the way it was in Nazi Germany. So I think that if American fascism were to become a thing, I honestly can say that I do not believe one iota that race would be a factor
part of it.
in their ideology. I think that... Right, exactly. I think that American fascism wouldn't care that you're descended of Japanese. I don't think that American fascism would care if someone was black, you know?
Yeah.
And I've had this discussion with my friend Sergio, who I told you about earlier, you know?
Yeah.
About what American fascism would look like.
Now advancing.
And I mean, ultimately, it's just a what-if scenario, you know?
You would look like the man in the hike? No.
In certain ways it would, but the Man in the High Castle is very racial because it's Nazi Germany
It's still
controlling
based off.
the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they have racial standards there. Whereas I don't think that that would exist in a fascist United States.
Didn't take much.
So I don't think you or I or our families would have to worry, frankly.
You'll have to adapt to fighting in snow and ice quickly. Incoming!
You would have to worry about.
Who would?
No, seriously. Yeah.
People who aren't citizens, and this is difficult for me, admittedly, because... And the reason why this is the whole reason why I fear we might be headed in this direction, is because fascism never arises completely unjustified, you know? People like to think that it's just a completely spontaneous thing that just bad people just do. But the fact of the matter is that fascism is usually, historically, a response to injustice of some sort. And I think that non-American citizens would have to worry. So perhaps illegal Mexican immigrants, for example, might have to worry.
I've been lying to you this whole time. I'm an illegal Mexican immigrant.
And at the same time, though, I don't think that it would lead to genocide, because it didn't in the Roman Empire. There's a critical difference between Nazi Germany and the Roman Empire, and that is that Nazi Germany arose from a place of total weakness and impotence.
I got this.
Whereas the Roman Empire
Don't
arose
hold me back.
from a place of controlling the entire world, as the United States does now. So there isn't really a need to genocide
You
people.
cold or just scared?
You can just reshape things as you will them to be reshaped when you have the kind of control over the world that the United States has. And who's gonna do anything, you know?
Well, the people who disagree with it.
See, that's the issue.
The United States.
That's in a sense the issue here is that
Oh, right.
this is one of the
Worried
things
about
that
Civil War.
this is one of the things that really is striking to me when I imagine these scenarios play out in my head, is that if fascism were to arise in the United States, it's a right-wing movement. The right wing controls 98.5% of the 350 million plus firearms in the country.
Right.
Advancing!
And if there's one thing that history is extremely clear on, like we're talking literally 100% of the time, literally, it's that
I see.
the side
Right there!
with the most guns never answers to anyone.
Unsurprisingly.
I mean, it's like you can even go to the LA riots in our country's history, the Los Angeles riots, and all the riots over the Rodney King being beaten to death. The rioters, when they started to break into the Los Angeles Korean community,
Oh, right. The Koreans got on the roof of their
exactly, they almost immediately stopped because they found that the Korean community were all up on the rooftops of their stores, of their homes, with rifles, and they said, "You can riot all you want, but you don't riot here. You can riot all you want, but you don't riot here. We'll blow you away."
Yeah. Don't break your shit.
Right.
And we won't have to break you.
You can go wreck as many stores as you want, but you keep it out of this neighborhood.
Right.
So, I mean, even on that tiny scale, like, Koreans, especially Koreans, like Asians in general, but narrowing it down even further to Koreans, are a very small fraction of the population. And then you consider the even smaller portion of that population who are armed, and that tiny percentage of people were able to force off literally, you know, thousands of rioters. That's the kind of difference that guns make.
Running away. God, how pathetic.
Ah, shit.
What? You got killed in Volcron?
Somebody, I think somebody might have died. I don't know.
My, no.
It wasn't Helmet.
Yeah, that's right. Helmet's not even there.
Right. What mission is this?
Maybe you can read up on that though. Korean guns. I'd imagine South Koreans aren't super anti-firearms, considering they live right underneath North Korea.